Welcome! In this video we will continue creation of our SVG charts with the PowerBasic Windows Compiler. This is our charting program as we left it at the end of the last video. What we're going to do today is we're going to pull back the color values stored for the title of the chart and for the background full color of the body of the chart, so that when the chart displays on screen we'll have the chart title in color and the background fill gradient in colour as well. So let's have a look at the code. Now we have a look at our build chart function, which is performing all the work. Down here, down in this section of code here, this is where we put in the details of the title of the chart. At the moment we have nothing in here that would set the foreground colour of the text, so we'll need to slot something in here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put in a fill command. This will effectively fill our text with colour. We'll need to give it a colour value and we need to enclose it in double quotes, just like we've done with all the other parameters. So we have a new variable here we'll need to set up. So we'll go back up to our variables and we will set these. We will set this variable up. Now where we're going to get this variable value, what we will do is we're going to use a function we started in a previous video but we've never actually completed. We want to get back a colour value. Now the value we're putting in here is going to be the hex value preceded with a hash character, which is what the SVG command will accept. We've stored the RGB value, which is basically 3 bytes in one long value coming from Windows, so we need to convert the two. So we will create another variable to get that numeric value back first, and we will convert that into the value we want to put in to the SVG command. So the function we actually used was one called funGetColorPickerColor. Now it's going to come out of our library, so if we go into our library, into the common windows, and there's a function at the bottom called getColorPicker. Now we're going to amend this slightly. We are passing two parameters at the moment. We are passing the handle of the dialog, the handle of the control. Now because we're going to use this same function for getting the background and foreground colours of the gradient, we'll need to know, do you want the foreground or the background colour? So we'll put an extra parameter in here, basically one which will store a value that indicates we're getting either the foreground or the background colour. Now, to get this value back, the control handle we're passing in is the control handle of the colour picker control itself. We need to pick up which object on screen is the target which is going to be painted that colour. So we'll create a variable for the target. And the easy way to use that is to use the getUser command. This is using the two variables we passed in, the dialog handle and the control handle of the color picker object itself. And what we're looking for is the paint handle, the handle to the object that it's actually going to be painting. And what we get out of this line of code is we get the handle to the object which has been painted, the one that will contain our foreground and background colours. And we use the control get user again. Right, so this last command then gets the user value back from the dialog handle, the target that we've painted, and it will get back the slot which is either the foreground or the background colour. And we will return that in our function. So we'll just save that. So since we'll be using that, we need to actually put function in here then. So we have to take parameters, so we can put in the dialog handle, which we've got. We want to pick up the value of the color picker control that handles the text box, which was that one. And we need to tell it whether we're wanting the foreground or background colors. Now in this case we're after the foreground color. We will use the constant for the foreground color. Now, having got that value, which as I said is basically 3 bytes expressed as a long variable, we'll need to turn that into something we can actually use within the SVG command, which is this fill command here. So how we do that, when it returns a value, it actually returns it rather than an RGB value, it returns it as a blue, green, red value. So what we can do, there's a hex command in PowerBasic which will turn a long into a hex value, which is very useful as a string. And we want to use another inbuilt command called bgr, which will take a long value, which is the one we've got back from the function immediately above, and it turns this, which is a blue, green, red value, into an RGB value, which the hex one will turn into hex, and this will put it into the title color string that we can use in our hex for the SVG command. Again, it would be nice if all the teams designing this technology would all do it the same way, but these commands give you an interface into the way one team's done it and to how the other team wants to have it. So if we try that now, what have we missed? Have we not set that variable? Oh no, we have not declared that variable yet. Right, let's try that. Right, our program is running. Now we'll put in the chart title. We'll give the chart title a foreground color. We'll make this one nice and red. And we'll build a chart. And there we go. There is our color title. So just to prove that works, we'll up the font size. And we'll run it again. And there we go, larger text. So there we have effectively picked up the color for the chart title, and we're displaying that on our web page. Now I'm not going to tackle the background color of the text for the title today, as the SVG command has no background object. We'll have to use a filter on that one, but we'll save that for a later video. What we're going to do next is we're going to pick up the background color for the gradient fill. Now at the moment it just gives us a plain grey gradient fill. We're going to set that so it takes the values from what we've actually got on screen. So back to the code. Now we're still going to do this inside our build chart function. Now down here where we actually set the gradients, there we go, there's our set gradients command. This actually sets the gradients up. At the moment it's taking no parameters. We're going to change that so it picks up parameters. So what I'm going to do first of all is in the set gradients function, what it does is it builds up this hard-coded text with the RGB values, and it puts the def tag around all of that. I'm going to take the def tag out because we may be wanting to add to these gradients. And what I will do is we'll put the def tag around the call. This gives us a bit of flexibility because we may have more than one set gradients function. Right, okay, so we're going to have to pass two parameters. We're going to have to pass a beginning color, a start color, and an end color. So we'll need to declare both of these. Right, now what we will need to do then is we'll have to pick up those colours from the on-screen objects. Now we've already used the colour picker control function to actually get the value back. So we'll want our two variables. In here, and this is the beauty of using standard functions to get all this information back. What we can do is we will take this call and we will paste it in for both of these. Now what we will have to change is obviously the parameters we're actually passing, because for this one here the name of the color picker we're actually using is quite different. That one's called color start, and we're not looking for the foreground color, we're looking for the background color. And the same for the second one, it's the background color we're after. And this one is looking for the color end picker. Using this function twice, once to get the start color, once to get the end color, and then passing it in. That's great, but as we did earlier on, we discovered that the value we get back from here is going to be a long value, and we'll need to translate it into something the set gradients can actually use. So if we nip into set gradients, we'll need to slot these in. Now we need to have the parameters coming in quite happily. Now we're passing two parameters into this. Start color and end color. Now we're going to translate these values into a hex value we can actually use inside the code here. So I'm going to create two more variables just to store these, and then we're going to populate those variables basically to store the hex value of the start and end colors. And we're using the start color for this one and the end color for the second one. And again, as before, we need to use the BGR function to swap the red and the blue elements around. And then we can use the hex dollar to turn the value into a hex string that we can happily use. It really is as simple as that. Now, in here where we have the values, there's quite a fair bit of code in here, so I'm going to break this up a wee bit. The bit we're interested in is this bit here, the stop color. So if we fold this round so we can see what we're doing, and we'll do the same down here. These values are expressed at the moment as RGB values. We're going to change this to hex values. So rather than being RGB and the numbers, we want it to be a hash symbol, and we're going to add on hex start into there, and for the RGB one down here we will replace that with hex end. Now there are other things we could actually change around. How it's actually doing the gradient fill, it's telling you on this line up here that the x coordinate starting at 0 and it's going up to 100%, and the y coordinate is 0 in both. This means it's basically a left to right gradient fill. You can change it so it can be top to bottom gradient fills, it can be darker in the center of the chart or the edge of the chart, depending how you want to do it, but what we've got here will do us for the moment. So having put that in place, let's try that and see if we've missed something. I've got the double quote in the wrong place. Right, that's compiling cleanly now. Okay, we run our program now. There's a program running. So we will give our chart title a color, and we'll set the font to be larger. We'll set our chart width, and we're going to do a gradient fill here. So we'll take it from white to, let's say, red. And if we click on build a chart now, nothing happens. What have we missed? Right, I think we've missed something in the gradient. Let's try that. Right, the problem with our code was the tag that contains the gradient definitions should be defs, not def. So if we try running that now, and we'll put our gradient fill in, and we'll click build a chart, and what we get on screen is quite happily this. Now, just to prove this is functional, what we will do is we will change the font size, rebuild a chart, text is bigger, we will change our gradient fill, let's go for custom color, and we'll pick something on the red scale. We'll go from a fairly dark red, and we'll want to go to another custom color, and we'll go to a very faint red, and then build a chart, and then the gradient goes the opposite way. So there we're picking the values from the screen. We've got the chart title in color. We can quite happily change the color to any color we wish, or possibly not. Why is it not picking up green? That's a very strange one. So red is okay, but green is not. We shall need to explore that one. Let's try blue. Blue comes out as black. Something's gone a bit iffy with our colour for the title, but our background colours are working fine. Let's try the green one again, and we'll look to see what value is actually put in. Let's view the page source. Let's bring that one on screen so we can see it. And where's the chart title? The fill looks okay. I wonder if that's not... Yes, that's not zero filled. Right, let's have a quick look at the code. And where we set the title. I think we want to make sure it's always 6 characters in length. Let's try running that now. Okay, we'll deliberately go for a green colour. Dark green, let's try. And we'll go for a 24 point, make it nice and big. And we will go for a straightforward red. And there we go, that's what it was. So the value we pass to the SVG command needs to be a full 6 characters in length, so it specifies the red, green and blue colours. Right, okay, so I think that's us for today. We have successfully picked up the colour of the chart title. We're using the font size quite happily. Our chart width and height are correct, and the background fill colours are taken in quite happily. If we don't have a gradient fill, what we'll do in our next video, we'll actually set it so that when you don't pick gradient fill, the whole chart is showing up as the same background colour. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.